If you think your childhood was strange, wait until you hear about two kids who allegedly showed up in a medieval English village looking like they just rolled out of a salad bowl. The story of the Green Children of Woolpit is one of those historical oddities that sits somewhere between folklore, mystery, and did someone spike the ale again? It takes place in 12th century England, which was already a time full of superstition, odd diets, and questionable hygiene choices. So naturally, when two children with green skin appeared out of nowhere, people didn't immediately assume medical condition or lighting issue. No, they went straight to, obviously, they're not from around here, or possibly not from this world. And honestly, given the details, you can't entirely blame them. This story has everything: weird appearances, strange languages, mysterious origins, and a plot twist involving beans. Let's set the scene a bit, because context matters when you're dealing with green children wandering into a farming village. Woolpit, located in Suffolk, England, was your typical medieval settlement. Fields, livestock, and people who probably thought bathing once a month was excessive. The name Woolpit actually comes from wolf pits, which were traps dug to catch wolves back when wolves were still a problem and not just misunderstood forest puppies. So imagine going about your daily routine, tending crops or chasing chickens, and suddenly you find two kids near one of these pits who look like they've been marinated in spinach juice. That's exactly what reportedly happened, and you can bet it caused quite a stir. People didn't exactly have a handbook for what to do when green children appear. Now, these weren't just slightly green, like maybe they're just sick. No, the accounts describe them as distinctly green, like someone turned the saturation knob way up. And before you ask, no, they weren't wearing green clothes that rubbed off. This was their skin. To make things even stranger, they didn't speak English or any language anyone in the village recognized. So not only did they look unusual, but they also sounded like they were speaking in code, or perhaps just really committed to not being understood. The villagers, understandably confused but apparently kind-hearted, decided to take the children in instead of running away screaming. That's either admirable compassion or a lack of survival instincts, depending on how you look at it. So anyway, apparently feeding them also turned out to be a whole ordeal because the kids refused to eat anything offered. Bread? Nope. Meat? Absolutely not. Porridge? Don't even think about it. It's like they were the pickiest eaters in history, except instead of just refusing broccoli, they refused everything except, wait for it, raw beans. Yes, beans. According to the story, when they found some bean stalks, they went at them like they just discovered the world's greatest buffet. Suddenly, they were eating happily, which must have been both a relief and a bit concerning for the villagers. Imagine realizing the only thing your mysterious green guests will eat is something you normally consider a side dish. Over time, things began to change, and this is where the story gets even more interesting. The children slowly adapted to their new environment, and their skin color began to lose its green tint. It's like they were gradually turning into regular humans, which raises a lot of questions. Was the green color due to some kind of dietary deficiency, or were they just detoxing from whatever bizarre place they came from? Eventually, the boy fell ill and sadly didn't survive, which is a sobering reminder that even the strangest stories can have very real human elements. The girl, however, lived on and began to learn English, which finally gave everyone a chance to ask the obvious question, where on earth did you come from? Her answer did not exactly clear things up. According to her, she and her brother came from a place called the Land of St. Martin, which sounds less like a real location and more like a fantasy novel waiting to happen. He described it as a place where everything was green, including the people, and where the sun didn't shine the way it does in our world. Instead, there was a sort of perpetual twilight, like the universe's most dramatic lighting setup. At some point, they heard a loud noise, wandered into a cave, and then somehow ended up in Woolpit. If you're thinking that explanation raises more questions than it answers, you're absolutely right. Naturally, this story has sparked countless theories over the years, because humans love trying to explain weird things, even if it means getting a little creative. One of the more grounded explanations is that the children were simply from a nearby village, but suffered from malnutrition, specifically something like chlorosis, which can give the skin a greenish tint. Add in a language barrier and some confusion, and suddenly you've got a medieval mystery on your hands. It's not as exciting as interdimensional travelers, but it does make a bit more sense. Then again, the Middle Ages weren't exactly known for their precise medical diagnoses. Another theory suggests the children might have been Flemish immigrants. At the time, there were tensions and conflicts involving Flemish settlers in England, and it's possible these kids got separated from their group. If they were hiding or living in poor conditions, that could explain their diet and appearance. Their unfamiliar language might have sounded completely foreign to the villagers, leading to even more confusion. Over time, as they were fed and cared for, their health improved and their skin returned to a more typical color. It's a plausible explanation, though it does lack the flair of glowing green children emerging from a mysterious realm. Of course, if you're more inclined toward the supernatural, there are plenty of theories that lean into the weirdness. Some people believe the children came from an underground world, which sounds like something straight out of a fantasy epic. Others suggest they might have slipped through a portal from another dimension, which is the kind of idea that makes you wonder if medieval England was secretly hosting a low-budget sci-fi experiment. There's even a theory that they were extraterrestrial in origin, because apparently green skin automatically puts you on the alien suspect list. While these ideas are fun to think about, they do require a bit of imagination and maybe a willingness to suspend disbelief. What makes this story particularly fascinating is that it wasn't just a one-off mention scribbled in the margins of some dusty manuscript. It was recorded by two separate chroniclers, William of Newburgh and Ralph of Coggeshall. These weren't random storytellers, they were respected historians of their time, which gives the tale a bit more credibility. Of course, credible in the 12th century doesn't exactly mean peer-reviewed and fact-checked, but it does suggest that the story had some significance. The fact that it was documented at all means it left an impression on people even if they couldn't quite explain it. The girl eventually grew up and, according to some accounts, integrated into society. She even got married, which must have made for an interesting how we met story. Imagine explaining to your future spouse that you arrived in the village as a green child who only ate beans and spoke in an unknown language. It's not exactly your typical meet cute. Over time, she seemed to lose much of her otherworldly aura, becoming just another person in the community. Still, you have to wonder if she ever looked back and thought, wow, that was a strange start to life. There's something oddly comforting about the villagers' reaction to the children. Despite their unusual appearance and behavior, they chose to help rather than harm. In a time when fear and superstition could easily have led to a much darker outcome, they showed a surprising level of compassion. It's a reminder that even in the strangest circumstances, kindness can prevail. Of course, it probably helped that the kids weren't actively doing anything threatening, just standing there looking like they belonged in a vegetable garden. So the next time you hear someone complain about picky eaters or strange childhood stories, you can casually bring up the Green Children of Woolpit. After all, it's hard to top mysterious green kids who only ate beans and claim to be from a twilight land. It's the kind of story that makes you appreciate just how weird history can be. And who knows, maybe somewhere out there, there's another unexplained tale waiting to be discovered, ready to make us question everything we thought we understood. Until then, we'll just have to enjoy this delightfully strange chapter of the past and keep an eye out for any suspiciously green newcomers.